Extraordinary powers. Espionage tradecraft jargon utilized in certain former Warsaw Pact intelligence services refers to the permission granted a highly trusted clandestine officer in extremely rare circumstances to violate his employer's standing orders if need be in order to accomplish a mission of vital importance. A note to the listener. The events of last September and October that so shook the world will, of course, never be forgotten. But few, if any, details of what happened during those extraordinary weeks have been revealed to the public. Until now. Several months ago, on November 8th, I received at my home in Manhattan a package delivered via Federal Express. The package, weighing 9.3 pounds, contained a manuscript, part typewritten and part handwritten. Subsequent investigation failed to determine who had sent it. The Federal Express Company was able to ascertain only that the sender's name on the bill was false. The point of origin was Boulder, Colorado, and that it had been paid in cash. 3 independent handwriting analysts, however, were able to confirm something I already knew. The handwriting was that of Benjamin Ellison, a former operative for the Central Intelligence Agency and later an attorney with a prominent law firm in Boston, Massachusetts. Ellison had presumably made arrangements for this manuscript to be sent in the event of his death. Although I was hardly a close friend of Ben Ellison's, we were roommates for one semester as Harvard undergraduates. He was a good-looking fellow of medium height and trim build, with thick dark brown hair and brown eyes. I remember him as being easygoing, quite likable, and possessed of an infectious laugh. I had met his wife Molly a few times and liked her quite a bit. When Molly's father, the late Harrison Sinclair, was director of Central Intelligence, I interviewed him on several instances, but that is the extent of my acquaintance with Sinclair. As a very good series of investigative articles in the New York Times documented recently, there is little doubt that Ben and Molly's disappearance in the waters off Cape Cod, Massachusetts, a week after the events recorded in this manuscript, was suspicious at best. A number of reliable intelligence sources have confirmed for me in off-the-record interviews what the Times articles speculate, that Ben and Molly were probably murdered, likely by agents connected with the Central Intelligence Agency, because of the knowledge they possessed. Until their bodies are located, however, we cannot know the truth. But why me? Why would Ben Ellison have chosen to send his manuscript to me? Perhaps it was because of my reputation as a reasonably fair-minded, or at least I like to think so, writer about foreign affairs and intelligence. Perhaps it was the success of my most recent book, The Demise of the CIA, which originated as an exposé I did for The New Yorker. But most likely, I think, it was because Ben knew me and trusted me. He knew I would never turn his manuscript over to the CIA or any other government agency. I doubt Ben ever anticipated the numerous death threats I have received over the phone and in the mail in recent months, the subtle and not-so-subtle campaign of intimidation by my contacts in the intelligence community, and the massive legal effort by the CIA to squelch publication of this book. To say the least, Ben's account at first struck me as shocking, bizarre, even incredible. But when the publishers of this book asked me to verify the authenticity of Ellison's account, I undertook lengthy interviews with those who knew Ellison in the legal and intelligence communities, as well as extensive investigation in several European capitals. And so I am confident in stating that Ben's version of these alarming events, astonishing though it may be, is an accurate one. The manuscript I received was obviously written in haste, so I have taken the liberty of editing it for publication and correcting a few largely inconsequential errors. Where necessary, I have interposed newspaper accounts to augment his narrative. Controversial though this document will no doubt be, It is the first complete story we have of what really happened during that fearsome time, and I am pleased to have had a part in bringing it to the light of day. James J. Morris. The New York Times. CIA director is killed in automobile mishap. Harrison Sinclair, 67, helped agency cope with a post-Cold War world. Successor not yet named. By Sheldon Ross, special to the New York Times. Washington, March 2nd. The Director of Central Intelligence, Harrison H. Sinclair, was killed yesterday when the automobile he was driving plunged into a ravine in rural Virginia, 26 miles from CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. He was killed instantly, agency spokesmen say. There were no other victims. Mr. Sinclair, who had been head of the CIA for less than a year, was one of the agency's founders in the years after World War II. He leaves a daughter, Martha Hale Sinclair.